is at work in Raleigh, so she will not be here. And she wanted me to tell everybody that she hated not being here. And we appreciate it. She appreciates it like we do everybody coming. So I'm going to do the invocation myself tonight, and I've asked Mr. Westbrook to lead us in our pledge. So at this time, let's go in prayer. Heavenly Father, what a privilege and an honor it is to call upon your name. Thank you for this time. Thank you for the meeting that we get to have monthly and understand the things that we needed for the county and the business and have. And pray to give us wisdom and understanding, direction, the right frame of mind of what we need to do. We love you and thank you for what you've done for us in Jesus' name. That's all. Stand up, please.
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. All right. There are several items on the agenda here tonight. I hope everybody's had an opportunity to look over it and see if there's any discussion or anything about the agenda. But we do need to amend to include the opioid settlement. County attorney has told us that we need to do that in the county attorney's report.
Make a motion that we approve the amended agenda to add opioid settlement.
All right. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carries. Thank you for that. Next is our consent agenda. Looks like we've got several items on that. We have the approval of the February 9th, 2026 regular meeting. Loan amendment from North Carolina State Treasurer. This is part of the disaster response from the state. Beaver Management Assessment Program, that's our participation that we do about every 4 or 5 years. Then we have the approval of the tax release adjustments for 2025. We have the approval of the road naming request, Posey Creek Way, approval of road naming request, Legacy Heights Road. And then, as always, our February 26th tax collection report for informational purposes. Any discussion about any of these items on the consent agenda? All right, we have a motion. Do I hear a second? And all those in favor say aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carries. Thank you for that. Next is Ms. Jessica McIntosh, our tax administrator. She is going to talk to us about tax refund requests, which is every month. Good evening, ma'am. Good to see you.
I only have one request. It was for Lincoln. It needs approval, so hopefully you have to look over it.
Yeah, has everybody had an opportunity to look over that in their packet? Yeah. We have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second? Second to Madam Clerk. Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Thank you, Jessica. We appreciate it. That was easy. All right, next. Yeah. Next time, have a speech prepared. Debbie said. Jessica, she's not listening. Next time, have a big long speech prepared.
All right.
All right, department updates. We have Yancey County Health Department. Ms. Morgan Fox, Community Assessment. How are you, ma'am?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. I want to just present a little bit about our community health assessment. It was conducted in 2024. So to give you a little bit of background. So every North Carolina Health Department is required by the Department of Health and Human Services to conduct a community health assessment every 3 years. So we're in our 2024 cycle, which means the next one we'll conduct is in 2027. And this is basically what guides our work at the health department and in the county with our stakeholders, such as like Partners Aligned Towards that, and different organizations that have interest in this data. And then we develop a community health improvement plan and track our progress through a state of the county health report. It's called like a charge thought cycle. And that is kind of the gist. And we do it in 3 different phases. So phase 1 is conducting the actual assessment. We work with Western North Carolina Health Network to collect this data in the community, and it's through random phone surveys or participation online. And then we have a data team go over this. and I had 2 interns from East Tennessee State University help this cycle. And so we make sense of the data and then we present to our local stakeholders. And we identified 5 big health issues in our community this time, being access to physical chronic disease, access to care, behavioral health, and safe and affordable housing. It's important to note that all of this data that we have was collected prior to the lien. So after the lien, we can just expect that these issues are amplified. So we got all our stakeholders together, and they are the ones that chose our priorities to focus on this community health assessment cycle. They were able to cast their vote on what 3 issues they wanted to focus on as a team, because not everything the health department can do, and other organizations can develop programs that help in our community. And it was kind of hard to choose one. Some people are very passionate about housing, but that's just not something that anyone took the lead on to tackle. So the priorities that the group chose were access to care, healthy eating, active living, and behavioral health. And these were chosen because we can do programs that create measurable outcomes that we can track in our improvement plan. And then this is just some QR codes for anyone that's interested. I also have copies of the community health assessment, the full report up here. But you can scan this QR code on the left to access the full report. It's public knowledge. It's on our website under health data and reports. And then if anyone wanted to request the specific data set that we have from this 2024 cycle, you can request it with that middle QR code. And then other data that we use through Western North Carolina Health Network can be requested on the right link. That was that. And then only thing I have to show yeah. It doesn't want to pull up, but also on our website, there's a link to our community health improvement plan that anybody can look at. And we have added in the different programs that are addressing these issues in our community, and we check the data yearly on it. So anybody can go look at that if they're interested. And that's all I have.
Well, thank you, Morgan. Appreciate that. All right. Next, I think I saw a name before. Oh, how are you, ma'am?
I'm good. How are you?
Thank you for coming.
You. No, it's the one in the middle. Okay. That one. Yeah. Okay. Well, Morgan was talking about access to care being one of the main focuses of the community health assessment. And so I think the slide that I've got is a recap of the health departments, not all the services, but a lot of them. And from January of last year till December of last year. And when she gets that pulled up, it'll have actually the numbers of how many adult health visits we have, child health visits, vaccination, family planning visits, the BSET, and their numbers are really high. And when you compare them to the communities around us, we're right on track or even a little bit higher. So we are meeting those needs of access to care by having the health department run those programs. And right now we're currently booked out like 3 months in advance. If you call in your sick, we'll try to get you in. We'll do whatever we can get you in sooner. But for a regular primary care visit, we're about 3 months out. So we are meeting that need for the access to care. And environmental health is staying busy. And they've had 635 applications from January last year to December. 150 of those were single family residences that have permits for septics or wells or something like that. And we do have a couple of good things to talk about in the way of money. We have a Green Mountain project that was funded by DEQ. We have $229,870 to work on that project down there. That's going to be an engineered system down around O.C. Whitson area, just where the land was just gone. And you have a rock left. And so there's some engineers that are working to try to figure out a system down there. And so we got the funding for that, which we were very appreciative of. And we also got a DEQ and the Council of Government, 11 other counties, as well as Yancey got. It's $5 million. And it's not split evenly between counties. It's first come, first served. There's no income requirement on that. Anybody that needs help with repairing a septic or, a new septic, they'll need to put in an application at the health department for that. So when that money drops, we've got a waiting list. We're going to go ahead and start trying to use as much of that $5 million as we can in each county. And Morgan was really advantageous and got a North Carolina Community Foundation grant for us for Yancey Clean Water Project. That's going to be for wells. And we're working with Chris Sigmund. He's got people in the community clean water source. And our environmental health team is working with those people on that list. So if anybody has a need, they need to go through the long-term recovery group. And we vetted, and Chris will send the need to us. And we're going to do as many as we can for the amount of money that we've got. And we also have a reach out to Read grant that we were awarded. So all of our children that come to our clinic will get a free book, which is super important. And we're really excited about that one. And we also got a Delta Dental grant. So we're going to be providing some education and some supplies for like toothbrush, timers, floss. We're going to go into Head Start, pre-K, elementary schools, and middle school, and some of the high school mental health classes, and do that as well. And then we've got some other things that we've applied for that we're just waiting to hear back. So we're meeting the needs, and we're very appreciative that y'all are supporting us to make that happen. Thank you, guys. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Ms. Randall. All right. You fix and talk to us about communicable diseases.
Hot topic everybody sees on the news. Thank you.
What we hear.
So, before I give you the current update of North Carolina and how the health department is getting prepared to, manage business outbreaks. So the current situation in North Carolina, as of today, we looked up before we came, there's only 24 cases in the state of North Carolina. There's none in Yancey County. We've had some contact tracing that we've followed, and we've had some people being tested, but so far we know active cases in Yancey County. We are linked to, our neighboring county down in South Carolina. There's 9 cases in that one little area there in South Carolina. So we're close to them. We have a lot of people go traveling down there. I couldn't get down there. There we go. So why is measles so concerning? Measles is so concerning because it's one of the most contagious viral infection that is like 9 out of 10 unvaccinated social individuals will become infected. And it's strong. So even in a room that someone's in there that's had measles, that area needs to be closed because you got a virus can linger up to 2 hours. So I know y'all probably saw the news where somebody was in the waiting room at Mission Hospital and they tested them for measles, and people in that waiting room being traced and monitored to make sure they had any symptoms and had to manage to make sure that they were getting taken care of and watched really close to make sure they. So symptoms in I think I skipped. It presents like a cold, so a lot of people don't even know that they've got this, and finger cough, runny nose, and red eyes is very common, but it's symptoms. The rash, though, the rash will develop 3 to 5 days after your fever. The rash is pretty self-evident. The rash is it's a measles rash. It starts at the head and works its way down, and it resolves in the same manner from the head down to the around your body. So you got people that there's complications with it. A lot of people say, I'll just get the disease and have my own and I'll be fine. But the complications with this is pneumonia, encephalitis, and hospitalizations. And people have to stay home. So you got kids that are missing school. You've got parents that are having to stay home from work to save those kids that have to be out of school. So, you've got infants and in your immunocompromised people are the most at risk for this. So vaccination is going to be your best practice to have people getting the MMR vaccines. MMR vaccines, I did some research on this before, started coming around earlier, like in the 1970s. So, like 1963, 64, some of them cases, they were like, well, maybe this wasn't the best one. But after that, like in the 70s, people got 1 dose of the MMR vaccine. So after 1989, around in there, they were like, no, we need another one. So it's a common that we give 2. We give 2. We give 1 when a child is 12 to 15 months, and then we give another one when they're 46, when they're going into kindergarten. 2 doses, you're 97% effective protected. You've got 2 doses. 1 dose is pretty good. It's 93%, I say. You have immunity. Early vaccination is recommended with outbreak settings. So what that means is we don't usually typically, give this to anybody until they're 12 months. But if we have a child, a baby that's 6 months old, that's going to be traveling, international travel, going to be going to Spartanburg or anywhere in South Carolina, such hot spots down there, they recommend that they'll go ahead and give 1 at 6 months. But they're going to have those 2 again, that 12 to 15 month one, and then that 46-year-old one as well, because there's other things in that MMR vaccines besides measles, tick mumps, and rubella, and your mumps will work if you don't do it that particular manner. So Yancey County, we're pretty good. 95% coverage is needed to prevent an outbreak. So when you look at Yancey County in the early of 2026, our number was one of the highest rates in Western North Carolina. Swain and McDowell are right there with us, but we are at vaccination rate above 95%. So I think that's pretty good. I think it's a pretty good shout out to the people that live here, the people that work here, the people that take this serious. And so being that we are highly covered like that, we've got more herd immunity, if you want to say that word, than in other counties that are like this. So it's pretty cool.
How long do you?
Well, once they've been diagnosed, well, you go back from rash day. Rash day is going to be day 0. They're going to look and see when somebody was contagious, and they're going to be contagious before the rash as well. And then they're going to be contagious after the rash. It all depends. There's certain treatments you can get. If you get the immunoglobulin, which is a treatment that you can get, you're going to be quarantined longer. Mostly, that's going to be up to 28 days if you get that. But if you don't have the immunoglobulin, you have those, and you're going to be, if you got it, you're going to be quarantined for like 21 days. So that's the reason I said people are going to be in school, you're going to have kids in school, you're going to have parents, they're going to have to stay home with these kids because leave them there. So, so you have a hardship getting okay. So the health department, we're monitoring these cases. We have calls all the time. I think we have sometimes 2 calls a day. But it's really good. The partnership that we have with the state is amazing. The epidemiologists and the state consultants that we have, they're really on top of it. And they really want us to work in conjunction with them. And they tell us to call them first, and then they'll tell us what to do. So we're following CDC guidelines. We're following our rules from our NC State labs. and as well as our state consultants are epidemiologists on call. And they're on call 24/7. Copy the other night, late at night. Healthcare and school coordination. So, our schools, monitor kindergarten vaccinations, and your second kindergarten vaccination is your MMR that, you get. And we have kids that start that don't have it, and we give them up to 30 days to complete it. And if we have someone that moves in here and say their start date is not the first day of school, they came like 2 weeks after school started, their start date don't start. They're still about 30 days from the day that they first came to school. So it gets a little, there's be all kinds of different factors there to monitor and make sure that they get their shots. North Carolina does accept medical exemptions and religious exemptions for vaccines. There are required vaccines for schools, and the school nurses are really good to work with this and to monitor it. And they put that data into the state registry, and that state registry is where that report comes and pulls that shows that we're 96%.
Just kids, you know?
Well, most adults have had it. If you were born before 1957, they say you probably already had the disease, and you probably got already immunity. And another thing with NCIR, which is our North Carolina Immunization Registry, where we have record of these vaccinations, didn't come around until later on, like the 90s. And so people that were born in the 70s and the 80s and the 60s, you have to find those medical records and they have to be transcribed over into NCIR. So if you don't have a card and you don't know if you ever had it or not, we do offer lab tests. The lab testing is a titer that can be drawn, and it'll come back showing whether you've got immunity or not. And if you come back and you've got that lab tested, confirmed immunity, you're good. You're good. So, a lot of people call me, they're like, I have no idea where my vaccination record is. My mom didn't keep that card. But, usually it's what we had. We had cards. And so if we don't have that and there's no way you can find it, then we can do lab testing. And we can do that at the clinic. We can test it, send it out, if it's actually immunity or not. I'll talk about that. And club says, it's not that far, and there is a huge population there. It's a tight community of people that have had the outbreak in South Carolina. It's not globally spread across the state of South Carolina. It's pretty much contained into a certain little area, and I think it's a community of people that are live together, work together, believe like each other, and they're saying that most of those people have come from that group. That out of the 990 that had it, it's like a high number, 980 something, 83, I think, and not that did keep the basis down there. Partnership with our local community people and our commissioners. Right now we're doing good. We're managing it well. But if we have breaks, we would need help. We'd like sending out messaging, let people know, hey, you can come to the health department, you can get your child strong. We can tell you if you have immunity. If you have immunity, you don't have to worry about this. Or if your child, you want them to have the MMR vaccine, we've got it. We've got it on hand. We've ordered extra to have on hand in case somebody does need to come in and have it. And also, if, we got 2 RNs at our building, and I'm one of them. And so if we get to the point where we're having to do a lot of community tracing and tracing people, the one we got called about the other night had an address in Yancey County, but had not been here, but was all the way in Washington State. So, but still we had to call them, and say, are you okay? Are you well? But he did have proof, so everything's good on that one. But, just having people that we might have to ask for help. Things like, Mark, can you call people and ask them if they've had are they sick? Call ahead is for if you're symptomatic. We are seeing people in the car. That's part of our messages to people to let them know, hey, if you're sick, we got signs on the door. If you've got these symptoms, call us. We'll come to the car. will taste you there. And so we don't want to have to shut our weight room down for 2 hours. So somebody to walk through it. And we don't want to expose our vulnerable people, pregnant people. We don't want to, have the vulnerable people that are going to be exposed. It's in our health department. So we're having people call ahead. We're meeting them in the parking lot and going from there. And our testing is sent to the, we can send it to two different places. We can send it to Lab 4 and we can send it to NC State Lab. Yes, I think so.
Is that it?
Welcome.
Good to know. Good to know, especially with that close. So thank you, ladies, for everything you do at the health department. Tremendous job. All right, next on our agenda, got a little bit of, and have some understanding about the Parkway Playhouse. We have Miss Melanie Deasy here. I've had the opportunity to speak with you before, ma'am. Thank you so much for coming. Maybe get some clarity and some understanding. A lot of people don't even know that the county owns Parkway Playhouse.
That's right. That's why I'm here.
Well, thank you for coming.
Hi, everybody. How is everybody? Good. My name is Melanie Deasy, and I am the new executive director of the Parkway Playhouse. Thanks to all of you for all the work that you do for our county and for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. If you had asked me 4 years ago when I first moved here if I would be standing in front of you today in this position, I would not have believed it. Hi, Helen. I'm just going to give you a little history about how I ended up here, and then I'll get around to why I'm talking about Parkway. As you know and love this community, I too fell in love with Burnsville the minute I arrived. The square, the New Ray, the artists, the restaurants, but most of all, the people. The people here are some of the kindest, most caring, and supportive people I've ever met. Because of the connections I've made in this community, I now find myself in the incredible position of leading Parkway Playhouse. For more than 35 years, my career has been in arts leadership, and I am truly honored to have the opportunity to guide this hidden gem of the theater and historic icon into its next chapter. My vision is to make Parkway Playhouse a destination, a place where the community gathers, a place for uplifting, family-friendly shows and musicals, a cultural institution that the town of Burnsville can be proud of. But we're at a crossroads. The building needs major structural repairs. We need resources to expand our staff and strengthen our productions. For example, just replacing our fly system, which is the metal rods above our stage that holds our curtains, costs upwards of around $800,000.
Wow.
Right now, we cannot apply for many large grants or launch a major capital campaign unless we own the building. So my purpose here this evening is to respectfully ask you to consider allowing Parkway Playhouse to take ownership of the theater. With your support in allowing us to own the building, we can unlock the funding needed to preserve this historic theater and ensure it serves its community for generations to come. Next year will be our 80th season. And generations of families in this county have walked through those doors. I want y'all to know that I am in this for the long haul. I'm not moving, I'm not leaving. Yancey County is my home. My goal is to help ensure that Parkway Playhouse becomes a true cultural anchor in this community, a place that brings people together and continues the legacy that began here in 1947. Together, we have the opportunity to preserve a piece of Burnsville's history and ensure that Parkway Playhouse continues to bring this community together for the next 80 years and beyond. And that's it. Thank you for this opportunity. I want to work with you all. I want for the community to invest in our future. We want to invest in the community. And I want to sincerely help Parkway Playhouse to become an incredible arts center. was always meant to be.
Um, I'm sure everybody has memories and stories, a lot of different things
Yeah.
you could share about the Parkway Playhouse. If you grew up in Yancey County or have lived here for any length of time. And I can't help but think of one particular person when you say the Parkway Playhouse, Miss Elizabeth Westall. What an impact she had on the vast majority of our lives. Whether you were one of her students in school or whether you participated in the activities at the Parkway Playhouse, so she was an amazing woman, along with several other people.
Yeah.
Not leaving anybody out. I'm telling you, that's my memory.
Yeah.
And that's who she is. And the Parkway Playhouse is one of those places and things and historical places that we have in Yancey County that's world renowned, by the way.
Yeah.
There's people from all over the globe that know what the Parkway Playhouse is. I'll give a real quick story. I shared this with you,
Yeah.
Melanie, that our family was in Disney World in 2008, and a large family, a very large family, and we were there with another family that has several kids. We were all lined up eating lunch, and some of the actors came out, and they were doing this little skit, and they started talking to our kids and got our kids to sing different things. And the lady said, "Where are you from?" And this woman was from another country, but she had lived in Florida there and was an entertainer at Disney World for a long time. And we said, "Where are you from?" And we said, "We're from Barstow, Carolina." And she said, "Oh, home of the Parkway Playhouse." I mean, it was one of those good moments. And she got to share all the experiences that she had, and what memories that she had being from here, what the impact it made in her life. So we're pleased and happy to be able to hopefully partner with you.
Yes.
And watch the Parkway Playhouse continue to exist and be an iconic destination in Yancey County.
And anybody that's here that hasn't been to the Playhouse, if you haven't been in a while, come, give me a call. I'll show you backstage. I'll show you, you know, it's a cool piece of our history. Yeah.
So with that being said, any discussion or any questions for Ms. Deasy about different things? Any discussion about what we would like to do?
You're talking about just the building, top of ground, right?
Well,
The footprint.
the building and, you know, we have an amphitheater out there.
Well, that's a hot topic.
I mean, the amphitheater that,
So,
yes. It's on the list.
yeah.
It's on the list, but yeah, so it's the building, it's the amphitheater, it's, you know, we have a fence, we have a little bitty, you know, stretch of grass. And then there's our scene shop, which has an access road
Yeah, it's down below.
to the back. So we just need that.
Yeah. I think it's a no-brainer. I think it's a no-brainer that we would allow them to be able to grow.
Thank you so
And
much.
we definitely don't want to hold back. That's, I know I'm trying to tongue in cheek in just a second, but we do have a motion on the table that we would donate the building. So I yield the floor to our county attorney. I know there are stipulations, there always is.
There's only certain ways that you can
I'll say this.
and convey property. One of the ways of doing it that the statutes allow is to make a conveyance without any consideration to a nonprofit corporation, that there has to be stipulation in the deed that the property will only be used for certain purposes. So if you are interested in conveying the property and they do meet the status of being a not-for-profit corporation and they are agreeable to the conditions that the statutes allow but in the deed, and what that prevents is them being able to convey the property to any other entity or use it for a non-public purpose. So let me give you a little bit of history. This is not the first time that this request has come before the board. Back in the 1990s, if I remember, 1996, most of y'all remember David, Chief David, a long time chairman of Parkway Playhouse Board. At one time, the county wanted to get rid of it, get it out of its inventory because we were spending money on it. So the county approached the Bailey to see whether or not the Parkway Playhouse would be interested in receiving the property conveyance without consideration. The Playhouse Board at that time came back to us and said, "Oh no, please, we don't want the property. We want you to lease it to us for these 10-year terms, which we've been doing." And the rationale behind that is the county can insure that deal at minimal cost because we insure it through the insurance pool that the county pays. The cost of the Playhouse Board to insure that building at that time, because if you all remember, it's all wood. And the premium that it was going to cost the Playhouse Board to insure that were very high. I'm just,
No, I hear you.
you
I hear
want
you.
to have a conversation with me
Yeah.
and also about which method would actually be best for you, and certainly check on the cost of that insurance.
Yes.
Because back then, given the status of that building, it was then the words were it's fire.
I'm aware. And that's the problem where we are, is that we can't raise any more money because we don't own the building. So we can't put any money into it, making it not a fire truck, you see. So
You may want to reach out to some other entities who have gotten money from, I know, the Back and Trust Fund, particularly the folks over at Spring Creek Community Center over in Madison County. They recently received a $500 or $1 million grant through the trust fund, and they applied for the grant, but it was administered to the county.
right,
Because the county owned the property.
right.
A lot of those units over in Madison County, the county owns the property, but they've applied for those grants and they can get some of them. So it would be worthwhile having a conversation. It sounds to me like our commissioners are very interested in trying to help you
Yes.
in whichever method would be more advantageous.
Yeah.
I just don't want you to think we want the property, get the property, and then for the insurance.
Right. Right.
So could we rephrase the motion to say that we are interested based on due diligence of the county and the Parkway Playhouse Board to make this happen due to statutes or whatever it is.
That's the kind of, to explore that working
Right.
with Ms. Deasy.
Yes.
You know, whenever you all have forward all of those, and then come back to the board with a recommendation as to what needs to be done. In order to convey the property without consideration, there has to be a 30-day newspaper saying that is the intent of the board. And as long as the condition is satisfied, you would then own the property only subject to if you did not satisfy those conditions, we can enforce those against you or take the property back.
So we'll just make a motion with the due diligence of both parties under the legal stipulations. Okay, so she has a motion. Do I hear a second? And a second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion carries. So we will move forward. We'll have another vote when we get everything together.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vicky. Appreciate it so much. Thank you. All right. Moving forward, we have Yancey County Financial Audit. Mr. Travis Keepers and give that presentation. And I like to call this the 25-26 Helene. The Helene audit. That needs to be kept in mind. Thank you for coming, sir. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having
Good evening, everybody. My name is Travis Keeper with the Killian CPA Group. We have recently completed Yancey County's FY25 Hurricane Helene impacted audit. That's the reason we're a little bit later than normal to deliver it to you. There we go. I'm going to be brief this evening. I'm mostly going to focus on the opinions that we issued that are included in the county's financial statements. And then I'll give a few kind of selected financial statistics, which again will be skewed this year because of some of the Helene related items, but we'll get into that later. I would like to thank Brandy and all of her staff. They're always a pleasure to work with. This year was no different. A lot of information, especially with all the single audit compliance audit related to Helene. Just a lot more stuff to pull, documentation to pull, and things like that than normal. They were a big help as always. So the county's FY25 financial statement was released on February 10th, 2026. It was approved by the LGC late last week, March 5th. Because of the late approval, we don't have hard copies yet. Those will be coming next week, but the audit is available electronically if anybody wants to see it. We issued 4 opinions as part of the financial statements. The first opinion is kind of what is the big one. It's included in the very front of the financial statements. It's on the actual financial statements of the county. We issued an unmodified opinion on the county's financial statements, which means we believe that the financial statements of the county are fairly stated in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. That's also known as a clean opinion. It's a clean opinion on the financial statements. We're also required by government auditing standards to issue a report on the county's internal control over financial reporting and compliance with laws and regulations that are significant to financial reporting. Now, this is not a full internal control audit or a full compliance audit. Rather, we assess the county's internal controls and compliance that are most impactful to the numbers on the financial statement. This is actually where a lot of our audit work takes place. We do this in a number of ways. We test a sample of expenditures to make sure that PO policies are followed, the necessary approvals are obtained, and the budgetary authority exists for all the various expenditures of the county. We also test a sample of payroll expenditures to make sure that folks being paid are actually employees of the county and that they're being paid for the hours that their supervisor, for the hours on their time sheet that their supervisor approved, and that a rate is consistent with the approved pay rate and their personnel file. We also review numerous aspects of the county's year-end and month-end close process, such as bank reconciliations, to ensure that documentary evidence exists to support the amounts in the county's financial system. And then we review the key requirements and provisions of the Local Government Budget and Fiscal Control Act, which is the primary state statute governing local government finance. So the result of all that work is we noted no material weaknesses in internal control and no instances of reportable noncompliance with laws and regulations. That's the equivalent of a clean opinion on internal control and compliance. Now we're also required to report separately on the federal and state grant expenditures of the county. There was a lot of that this year. We performed single audits over several of the state and federal grant programs. We assessed both the county's compliance with the key provisions of the funding, as well as the internal control over that compliance. And we issued a clean opinion for compliance on both the federal and state funding, as well as no internal control issues related to either. So kind of top line summary, clean opinion on the financial statements, no findings on the financial statements, clean opinion on the federal and state single audit, no internal control findings on the single audit. So at a top line, that's about as good of a report as I can give as far as that. Slide catches up. So a few years ago, the local government commission started a program called financial performance. They call it financial performance indicators. They essentially measure the county against certain key performance indicators, benchmarks. We feed the county's information into an online module they've got. If any of the county's information sort of runs against those benchmarks, I have to tell you about it in a public meeting. So that's what this is. The county had 2 of those this year. We had expenditures in excess of appropriations in one department. That was the economic development department. It was sort of a timing difference. Occupancy taxes in June came in higher than expected. Didn't quite budget enough for it. Of course, that's just a pass through. The county takes it in and then remits to the chamber, the TDA, or whatever. So we don't view that one as a big deal. It doesn't indicate any systemic issue with the county's budgetary process. Again, it's sort of the timing difference that you're in. And then the available fund balance in the general fund was at 2.56% at 6/30/25. The available fund balance of the percentage of general fund expenditures. The benchmark on that one's 24%. And again, that is almost exclusively due to the impacts from Hurricane Helene. We'll get more into that. Financial statement summary, kind of at a high level. Your financial statements include 11 governmental funds, including the general fund. You've got total governmental assets in there, $31 million, total liabilities of $40.5 million. You don't have to be a CPA to know it's not great when those are flipped upside down. The liabilities are more than the assets. Again, that's due to a lot of the bills from debris contractors that had come in at the end of the year. FEMA money had not come in to pay those, so they were still outstanding at year end. Total revenue, the county of $82.4 million. Total expenditures of $98.8 million. And the expenditures more than the revenues primarily because the disaster cleanup from Helene. Sort of the timing difference. The expenditures happen before the revenue. So hopefully we'll see that reverse a little bit next year. For the federal and state single audit, we performed a single audit or sort of a deep dive audit of 2 federal programs. Those were Medicaid and FEMA. We single audited a total of $25.9 million in expenditures. FEMA was about $25 million of that. So that was those 2 were done for performed for federal. You also get a decent amount of state money that kind of runs through those same programs, Medicaid and FEMA. So we audited those for state purposes as well as the North Carolina State Cash Flow Loan, the needs-based lottery fund, which is about $23.7 million of your state expenditures for school capital, and then the Parks and Rec Trust Fund. So just a couple of statistics on the general fund. Like most counties in North Carolina, ad valorem taxes makes up a big chunk of the revenue. Yancey County is no different. That comes in at ad valorem tax at almost $21 million or 55%. Restricted intergovernmental is $4.5 million or 12%. That's primarily your DSS revenue. Local option sales tax was $7.1 million or about 19%. Sales and services, which includes EMF fees, are the big item in there, as well as landfill tipping fees, was at 9% or $3.3 million. And then the other category includes investment earnings, occupancy tax, building permits. So this next slide, when it pops up, is a year-over-year comparison. Those revenue numbers. You can see the one that changed significantly year over year is ad valorem tax or property tax due to the revaluation that occurred that was effective for FY25. So we county adopted a tax rate that was a little bit higher than revenue neutral. So property tax revenue went up. That was really the only significant change year over year. Here's the same pie chart from the expenditure side of things. Again, like most counties, public safety and human services, which is primarily DSS, are kind of the 2 big ticket items. Yancey County is no different. Those come in, public safety is right at 30% of the budget, about 10.4 million. Human services is 8.3 million, or 23% of the budget. Your other categories, general government, which is a lot of your administrative departments, building maintenance, things of that nature, about 5.3 million. The other category includes landfill, recycling, economic development, recreation, some of the smaller departments in there. And the year-over-year comparison for the general fund, there were several departments that were up, in each one of the departments for the expenditure increased significantly over 25. It was basically due to the salaries, which I imagine was a good amount of overtime in Hurricane Helene. And then you got a lot of vehicles this year. So we had salaries and vehicles were the two main drivers in the increase in the expenditure. And the next chart is a trend of the fund balance over time. So you'll see, if you look at the blue bar, that's your total fund balance from the audit. You'll see that Yancey County's total general fund balance actually went up a little over $1 million for FY 25. The available fund balance went down. Now, what that means, you've got about a $20 million deficit in the Hurricane Helene fund. But again, it's just waiting on revenue to come back in to reimburse some of those expenditures. So the general fund essentially has to front that money. When the general fund loans another fund money, it's not available for the general fund to spend. So that drives that available fund balance number way down. Also, expenditures were higher in the general fund. So you've got a lower available fund balance due to the money went to the Helene fund, as well as higher expenditures. You divide the available fund balance into the higher expenditures. That's how you wind up with the 2% available fund balance. And again, a lot of that is driven by the effects of Hurricane Helene. So hopefully, if some of that FEMA revenue comes back in, the general fund gets reimbursed. We'll start seeing that number come up a little bit next year.
So real quick, can I ask a question? With false mistake. Is this the pattern due to the Helene across other counties? The same pattern?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of varies amongst counties as to how big of a cushion they had to start with. Right. Some counties have a really big cushion, others not so much. So when you didn't have a huge cushion to start with, you're obviously more impacted. And then the timing of the reimbursements has, for whatever reason, varied pretty widely. Some of the units got most of their money back in calendar year 2025. Before the end of the year, they got a lot back. Others are still waiting on a lot of it. I haven't really been able to figure out the rhyme or reason for
that's my next question. Is there other counties like us that are free on the far end?
Yeah, as far as money not being reimbursed, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And I can't really tell what the rhyme or reason is. It seems like the process for submitting the applications, getting the money back, you work with a consultant that's supposed to shepherd you through the process. They do their thing. How quick the government looks at it just seems to be pretty random. This last slide just kind of shows a line chart over time of the county's available fund balance as a percentage of general fund expenditures compared to other counties that are population $50,000 or less. So you guys can see where you track on that. Again, hopefully that blue line takes a pretty swift turn up next year or two. I think this next one, this is my last slide. This is just a couple of property tax statistics. Again, the tax rate changed from 24 to 25, from 60 down to 60 cents per $100 of value down to 52 cents. That's due to the revaluation. You can see on the value of assessed property that the county's total assessed property went from about $2.5 billion up to a little over $4 billion. So a pretty drastic spike. That 8 year space in between. I explained that. Yeah. And of course, your current year collections were just shy of 21 million, and the tax rate or the collection rate stayed basically the same as prior year. I think that is all I've got. Happy to answer if anybody has any other questions. Again, we always appreciate being able to work with the county. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. I've got one other question real quick. Yes, sir. we would keep our fund balance just to make the numbers look good. Uh, and we would have not been able to pay our contractor. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, the percentage,
I mean, we chose not to do that. We chose to pay our contractors to keep them up to speed
correct.
so they could eat.
Right.
That's the reason our fund balance.
Well, and I imagine lots of local folks are employed.
That's the reason we chose to do it.
No, that makes perfect sense, but yeah, that's a simple matter of math. If you would have chosen not to do that, let those bills accrue, and paid there was still a decent amount accrued at the end of the year, but a lot was paid. That again, the general fund fronted the money for about $20 million. If that didn't happen, that cash would have been available in the general fund, but instead of having $900,000 available fund balance, you have way more.
Our fund balance would look good. People.
Sorry. Yeah.
Hey,
More important things than papers.
absolutely. That's what was. Thank you. Any other questions for Steve?
I will say, there's just an update that the commissioners and the public is, in the last week, we have received the news that, 23 million is on its way. And so it has come down to the state side. They do the defend the spend, and we are working with them to shuttle that money down to. We have a $36 million, that was on right away. Debris, that's all debris. That was right away when they was picking it up. The 36 million that's coming behind it, not been obligated yet. The 36 million is on its way. We finalized it last week with the state, and just like Travis said, some things, it seems like we're getting a big push right now. Things are coming. And we've been waiting. We've had it turned in since September. Completed every project. So we have some projects that's still underway, but that's permanent projects, the parks, the campground, that kind of thing that'll take a time. But some of our debris. Yeah.
Next year when you come back, you'll all be smiling.
Yeah, we'll say the exact opposite of everything.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Travis. Appreciate it. As always. All right, next on our agenda is our county manager report, Mr. Lawson. What you got for us, ma'am?
Well, we got a lot to talk about, but since we already gave you the good news of the 23 million on its way, 36 million behind it, and we are seeing, like I said, a lot of the funds start moving. The right of way expedited, we have been expedited the 3.1 million. We have overran that to about 3.9 million, and the extra 700 and some plus is on its way as well. That's been obligated last week, the week before, and the state has that. They through, and then they'll be sending that done. But we found that we already just proof of, and so we are showing the proof payment, and they have been sending our funds. So good news is that should be turning the other direction. That thought it was more important for us to get that out contractors, and so they working and keep everybody bills paid and work another day. That was the goal of that. So I'm real proud. There's some people that said we should have went SMART program, we should have done this, we should have done that. But we had a good thing going. We had a lot of our local people working. We didn't go Army Corps because they came thing people, and they were about 4 months into the cleanup. So just that we, and that means a lot to us. Stuff that they have for our community. Before a lot of communities have already, or counties have already came through, done their thing, and they're gone. We're still working. Our folks are still working. They're still, if you have something, you can make a call up here. You can make a call. The commissioner will call so and so down here. So here to come back and look. We're able to and get that cleaned up. So right now we are cleaning up private property. So my message is, don't give up on your private property debris removal. We're still on the way. Our folks are still on the ground. Extensions approved so that we can extend past the March 28th deadline. Because the SMART program's got it through the 28th of September, and we have for that. But we're one of the only counties that the SMART program with the state. Many states say we'll wash our hands of it. We kept on keeping on because we thought it was important for our people that we can make that call. We can get people back out. So still working here, and we've got a lot of debris. Some counties didn't have debris. So if you need help, if you still got debris on the ground, it's not private property debris removal, be sure and reach out to our office. Long recovery really good hand in hand with us as well. You can reach out to them, and then they know how to get in touch with contractors as well. But we can still send them out and get some debris waterway and right away right now. Even though those projects are pretty much still not final, we still can pick up some of that debris. Absolutely needed to. Private property is fixing to take an upward swing. You'll see them start coming out and getting more debris. FEMA's been really slow at saying ineligible and eligible. Went back to being eligible. And when you don't succeed, you try again. And that's exactly what's had to happen. Because it's too hard, such as eligible and ineligible. And so we went back to the well 3 times on that. So not that we're not out there doing it, it's just that we have to have approval to be able to get. So we are watching our finances close, and we know that that audit wasn't a bright shining gold star. But when we went to the audit, our financials and stuff, we thought what was important was to get our money out. It was and that was a sure rainy day. That's why we had a general fund, and knowing that it was going to get paid back. So came with us that money back. We did have $20 out. We were getting $3 million plus the $36 million, and that'll just continue the contract. And of course, at the end of the day, the even Steven at the end of the fund. Some counties did take that money that they got state, about $8 million, and a lot of people say, you guys are running on those cash flow count that the state give out. That was $8 million. We paid out already over 20, guys. So that is the cash flow. Hope and pray like the other counties. That might get washed off the books. If you don't participate, you don't have a chance of that. Some counties put that in their bank account. They drew the revenue off. They didn't pay anything until FEMA paid them. That's not the way we play ball. If we sign up to work with you, we want to pay you. SDR told us that, but they have to have gas money. They have to have things to keep their folks working. So that was the mindset behind that. With the commissioner's approval and mindset too, is to get that money out exactly what it was meant to be. It was meant to be a cash flow grant to help continue. So we did not pour that money up. People, as you say, starving. That wouldn't have been right. So that's why we did. And if you're signed up for PDR, don't give up on us. Still coming. You should start seeing stuff move. It's spring of the year. So anyway, good weather will report that. We did. We've made good progress. Well, let me finish on the park. We are building back the Cane River Park. The Cane River Park will be relocated because this would be 3, if not 4 times of building that park back. It's not a good place to continue to have to build that. So the commissioners have purchased a parcel of land and done a relocation FEMA project. And it's the property across the Mustang station. Cane Branch. And so we're gonna put those ball fields up on the hill. Far away from the river and the water and all that. And we are hoping to do that. So what we would like to see is an indoor gym that not only could be used for a gym, but could be cold weather night. We could roll those goals up. Shelter where we wouldn't necessarily have to be in the schools. When they said school has to start back, and we're like, whoa, we got people in the shelter that we have that shelter and people don't have to move. So we want to build back better. FEMA will build back exactly what we lost. But we have some mitigation opportunities to build. So in that relocation part, the other thing is the burn will go back at Cane River Park because we have a land agreement with that. And we'll probably, with the commissioner's approval on all this, of course, that burn built back, but we'll also be able to have some walking trails. I know a lot of people like to run and walk out there. It's cool. And we just won't have anything really coming up out of the ground that's got four walls that the water could tear up again. People won't let us do that, but we can have soccer fields, remove goals, that kind of thing. We just won't have still have a fishing pier and be able to put back some of that stuff, kayak launch and stuff. They'll start doing that stuff with the burn. So hang on, it'll be a little bit. Getting our engineers quotes and everything. We have to put through things. And FEMA has gave us the engineering money, and we already have engineers on the ground in all these locations. Withers and Ravenel's doing the park relocation in the burn, and CTL is doing the campground. So the campground will go back as well, depending on approval plans and stuff. But we have a FEMA project that to put the campground back right where it's at. The river changed a little bit, so things might look a little different, and we'll rethink of how we can do it better to keep from washing out the electrical lines and the water lines and all that. So, but cool, hopefully nice facility to have events up there. So just hang tight. We have a FEMA project for that as well, and money's coming, and we have money in place for engineering. So those three things will be back. And then part also from some water damage just to the park area, pickleball courts and different things up there. Got that building that's for use and in use, and so it's a beautiful building. It should be a good place to have events and outdoor. So just wanted to say that real quick, but as far as just want to update you on the Charlie Brown Road project. That sewer line is going in out there doing a little bit of soil testing. They have ran the line from up in the field past the funeral home all the way down to behind IMAX storage, and you'll start seeing them come out the main road. Yes, okay. So we signed everything for them. Okay, some extra soil testing and stuff there. So with BLE and they're moving on. The CDC is doing that, as you know. Solid waste program. And everybody else in our office has been hard at it, trying to pick up these grants and different things that we're eligible for. So you might see a little ramp up in our solid waste. We have asked for $3.1 million, I believe, 3.2, somewhere around there, to vamp up our solid waste. So that's our convenience centers. That's wood grinding at we shop for the stars, or maybe the moon. Maybe we'll land on the stars. But the vehicles, so we can haul our own trash. That's coming up hopefully in the future. Grind our own wood so we can get it back to the community, because we realize that after the debris removals and they say, okay, we're done, you can't have any more debris removal, then our folks will still take that up to the landfill and we'll still be able to grind it. Trying to have it hauled off, maybe we can give that back to the community. And you can come up there and get a little more for your farm, or for your garden, or for your we're working on that. We hope we get the grant within We're excited. I want Brandon's pray because he's got some things about a grant that they have worked on as well. So at this time, unless you guys have some questions for me, I think all the other that's another thing that we're fronting the money, but reimbursement. Reimbursement. That's getting revamped. You guys for that. So, and then East Yancey wastewater treatment plant, Michael and South Dakota, that is underway. So just hang on. That plant's getting revamped. Mitigation, meaning it'll be better than it was before the flood. The flood taught us what we need to work on, or what could be better, or move that higher, or elevated. And so when we build back these things, we're trying to keep that in mind, so future generations won't have to, and hopefully, we never have a storm like that again, but so that future generations won't have to, deal with that as much, that it'll hopefully be more resilient than it has been. Any questions for me on that? Any projects? That's not half of them, but I will say one other thing. We did tour the track. Morgan, as you know, had got some money for the old state here square, which was the old library before the library moved up on Full Circle. So that has been gutted out. The track will be renting the downstairs space from us, and we will have upstairs space, office space for county offices. And it's coming along nicely. It's beautiful up there. It's absolutely gorgeous. I never thought I'd say gutted building was beautiful, but it is beautiful. It has so much potential, and we saw it before, but now we really see it.
So I can guarantee you, just over ours, will make it look good.
We're excited. We're excited. So I like Brandon Price, who's our EM director, to come forward. He's going to update the commissioners on the Toad River mitigation plan.
Good, sir.
Look at the, as chairman, we get awarded a grant to North Line EM, long-term trip group side for $0.8 million to upgrade our radio system. So we're going to be moving from the VHF analog system right now to a VHF digital system. So I'm working with RFQs and getting all that outlined and sent to communication companies. We've already had one communication company come to the county, for the county, and look at additional radio sites. We can increase the radio coverage for the first responders, for 10 EMS throughout the county. Law enforcement side, they primarily use Viper, but we'll have this for backup system for them. Also radio, Chris Sigmund proposed the governor's side to approve their budget with the Viper side. 3 of those sites are slated to come to Yancey County. That's what probably for the county just way out of our price range. It's $2.5 million per site with a 2-year build time per site. So that's the time for our funding. But the state's trying to fund that and bring that in. No, that's written in stone yet. That's the state that approved that part of their budget. So that's it on the grant. Like I said, we're moving, working on some other little grants. New building, and also trying to put some more events put on for the better serve the community when we respond to calls. So 2 things that happened. First, the floodplain, which is your floodplain map that come out. They usually get updated about every 10 years. We're working off maps from 2009. They did the maps in April 2025, but the state has a process they have to go through before they become effective. The process right now is for public review. So I just got it set in stone. State day. We're going to have a public review April 8th. It's going to be the Burnsville Town Center from 6:00 p.m. to 8:00 p.m. So that all the state FIP planners, floodplain planners, will be there to answer any questions the public might have. They're telling us there are 85 properties in our counties that are going to be moving into the special flood hazard area, and 194 properties that are moving out of that. So they'll be there to discuss, with the public that night. If they have any questions, to show you maps. And if you have any questions beyond that, you can reach me at my office and I'll be more than happy to give me your access. I'll pull it up. I'll let you know if you're in the 100-year, 500-year or floodway. And if you are doing any improvements to your home, if you are in those special areas, you have to get a floodplain permit, which you can get from me. Basically what it does is if you have a property that's moving into a special flood hazard area, that means you're going to have flood insurance. So here's what all boils down to. It's protected. And tell me when you have to do more insurance. But like I said, we'll know more on that day when the state comes to us and delivers their message to the public. Since their PI president, I'll be sending out to the county PI and get out to the radio station and on social media things, so everybody will be letting on that. And I'd like all of you to come that night.
Yeah.
And a flood zone and floodway. So if you're in a 100-year, 500-year or a floodway. Yeah, that's a special flood hazard area. So, and if you're in one zone, does not mean you cannot build in that zone or anything. You just gotta have a permit to recover. I don't want you building anything in zones and not getting the right permits. Well, I'm going to show you. You know, that's what happened. I want to be sure everybody's protected in that aspect. So on the Tug River Regional Hazard Mitigation, so that is a mitigation plan that's updated every 5 years. 4 counties involved. It's us, Mitchell County, Avery County, and Dallas. So this all started in 2010 is when the first regional hazard mitigation plan came out. And what that covers is flooding, tornadoes, communicable diseases, hazmat situations. So we have a hydrochloric acid spill out here. We have a regional plan that all 4 counties are following. That is done by State EM. State EM contracts EPA services associated with Mooresville, North Carolina. So it's a big firm. That's all they do is mitigation. So they write the plan, they update the plan, and then we get it on local level to approve it. So it's no money that comes out of our county. The state pays for all that. So it works out very well for my part because that's one less thing I have to do, but it's a big, more in-depth mitigation plan. So we're able to have a large scale incident with flood that all 4 counties are following. So it puts us in sync. So that got sent to all the commissioners for review. The town of Burnsville, they just signed a resolution last night adopting the new plan. I'm asking you tonight to sign a resolution to adopt the new covered national hazard mitigation plan so we can deal with it. And what that does, so the community knows that I also play a part in our team of funding. If one of those big and stuff. So by having that plan.
Any discussion, any questions for Brent about this?
No, there's a hard copy in the county manager's office, and Morgan sent one out digital from the commissioner. It's 841 pages long.
Also participate in the FEMA project. Hopefully we don't have many problems with that, but like the hazard mitigation plan that the program is participating in with their rest of for the hazard buyout.
Have a motion, do I hear a second? And a second, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. All right. All right. Thank you, Lee. We appreciate that. Next on our agenda is our county commissioners report. Any commissioner got anything? I've got one. Talk about it real quick. Anybody got anything? Anybody? Okay. I don't have social media. Not that I'm against it. I just don't have it. Don't have time. But I have thought about something. I thought about starting a Facebook fire department. But I'm gonna tell you something. You want something to catch on fire, let it get on Facebook. So will it catch on fire? I'm looking at the public comments here. Well, that's a lot. to talk about here on the amphitheater. And I know that's why a lot of you are here. Not making light of the situation because it is a fact. But to let everybody know and get some understanding, may change your mind about what you're going to talk about or want to talk about. You might not even want to after I make this statement. But we've been talking about it. It's something we consider. It's not a hardcore plan, not anything that we have set in stone to do. But there's an opportunity for funding, different things, and we do have a fact sheet about some things of it. But we have decided, because of several situations, circumstances, that that's going to be in the future somewhere. So down the road, we're not going to pursue the amphitheater, especially right now. The North Carolina School of Business, they are doing return on investment assessment. They're also doing an economic impact study, Department of Transportation, for the benefit of the intersection down at Michaelville. Not for the amphitheater, but they're doing studies for all that. So all that is going to be done 2 miles into Highway 80. While those things are being done, this was a consideration, was the amphitheater. We'll put the fire out tonight. I'll just go ahead and do that so we don't have to. Chris, you want to come and speak to some of these things, or you can give some folks some fact sheets here that you have, the same one that you gave me with some talking points. But that's going to be done. Okay. Not to say that it won't be in another location or anything else, but I'm just saying you can rest easy. We're going to be talking about the amphitheater. You're welcome to still come up and talk about it in public comments if you would like to do that. Any other comments from the commission? Yes, there may be other opportunities for other things. Probably not. Anyway,
I've got a big.
well, what I meant to say on Facebook, man, I got one of these. And it had been on fire. So you spoke on it. Anyway, I'm sure everybody else says too. But thank you very much for the call. So the comment. That's what it's all about. So we appreciate it. Moving on, we have our county attorney's report. Did make the amendment to the agenda to speak about the opioid settlement. And sir, you have talk about anything else besides that.
Yes, 8 years. With settlement, when the national consortium has sued numerous defendants that were involved in the opioid crisis. As those lawsuits get settled, before we can opt in and receive any of that money, you have to be informed about the settlement and direct either me or to send a notification in the national group that Yancey County decides to participate. The notification is done because if a certain percentage do not participate, then the settlement is not agreed to. So last Thursday, I received a notification in a lawsuit that is entitled National Consortium versus the 6 remnant defendants, which is a settlement and a gross amount of $97,025,000. Now, those monies will be payable to all of the defendants. We only get a portion of that. The National Consortium is recommending each of the local subdivisions agree to opt in. So what I'm asking you, you will direct tonight either the county manager or myself to send the notification in that we will participate. They will be sending us an email notification with documents for us to sign. They said we would receive that any day, that it has to be returned by May 4th, which that will be before we have another meeting. So you would just resolve in your minute to authorize to opt in to this settlement that would survive.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
Motion to authorize your order.
Okay. Is that good to say?
That's good enough. The other thing I would have for you is just an update. You will note that in the past, we have agreed to participate in funding from the Community Development block grant, which I believe is about $2 million. Am I not right, Morgan? Four, we have taken applications, there have been 20 applicants that have been approved. And what this entails is folks whose residences have been damaged or they're below subsistence, if they qualify, they be basically a new resident, which is usually in the form of a modular or a double one. Those average somewhere in the neighborhood of $200,000 each, a little bit less. We put out bids for 5 of those. We are ready to close those. I think Morgan and I did that on March the 19th. I want to give a big shout out to Morgan for doing all the paperwork to allow these residents in the county to participate basically in that 3 months. And what that means is they are afforded this new residence. They are below certain, not necessarily subsistence level. And basically they have to live in the house, maintain it for a period of 8 years. And, so we are making progress in that kind of special process.
And I think it's worth noting that first 5, I think that.
Anyway, see what you got. We're looking forward to it. Go through the process and the, all the different things we got. All right. So I do have any motion and a second on favor. All those in favor say aye. Yes, thank you. Appreciate that, Mr. Law. All right, next on our agenda is our public comments, and we do have several signed up to speak. With the announcement I just made, some of you, you're welcome to come and talk. I'm going to tell you about the process and the way we do this. 3-minute time limit. Everybody who is speaking. I will hold up 3 fingers. So please be mindful of your time. We're going to the next person. So that being said, we have first speaker, Ms. Kate Met. Speaking about. Okay.
I'll tell you, I was stepping on this side of the wall, and you want to call my parents. My whole wall. The Facebook page up, I want to make sure I'm clear, because part of what I think spiraled, this came across my desk last week, and within that time, my email went like this too. And part of it is not really having a core of the information. So was your point that you were going to set up?
Yes, we're going to have, as Chris Stibben and I talked about, we're going to have a couple of town hall meetings. We'll have come to that point, but at this point right now, we're not going to do any of that because of the project for now. I'll find another place or other things, a lot of information. We weren't even to that point. But yes, there were going to be at least 2 town hall meetings.
It just kind of brings up the speed, and that we can have tonight.
Yes, the talking points here about that, Chris, anybody, could you get some of those 2 people that have to give a little bit of clarity and some understanding? Okay?
The other thing I know, Chris, I watched the video YouTube had on YouTube, which was very helpful. And you mentioned the idea of a mountain line. I don't know, and again, I don't know if it's a store or if it's, telephone game. But I live over in Mount Mitchell. Heard that there was an accepted bid on the golf course by a group that was coming in to build kind of a growth park indoor. So I don't know if you've spoken to them at all or if that's even true, but you might want to hook up with the golf course because they're building. Let them build it.
Yeah.
You've got plenty on the plate.
Sure. I get called. I really don't know anything about what is going on.
Nobody,
Yeah.
except everybody. Does.
Yeah.
So like the amphitheater, I didn't say that, but anyway, Anyway,
I got one better than that. Posted on Facebook, try and update them, and here, that's.
that's it from me. All right, thank you, Kate, appreciate it. Next up is Miss Christina Erickson. Also speaking about. Thanks for coming, Christine. All right.
Well, I don't really need 3 minutes now, but I just want to say to the board, I would hope that you are more accurate with where you think that you put this. Because placing it in the middle of the road just felt very inconsiderate as somebody who does live on highway. And, I mean, it's a 3,000 seat amphitheater concert event. venue. So moving forward, I would hope that you put all those pieces together and consider all the pieces, the families, home, where people live, outlive their normal lives. That would have been really crazy. So, and I also started a petition.
All right, Tyler, you gonna speak? Good to see y'all, by the way. Next will be Mr. Bill Blue. Good to see you, Bill. Well, you wrote down William. I'm sorry, William. I know you as Bill, but anyway. All right, good to see you, Bill. Thank you for coming. I'm sure. I see what it's wrote down. I'm gonna let you say it, tax. Yeah, go ahead. I got 3 minutes.
Well, I was here the last time. You worked so much. And I, didn't get up and say anything. There was a bunch of big. But, I've got about 3 acres over beside that coast of it. My dad had a little, 24, about 15 homes built there. Well, but it was thoughtful. 24 by 40 was a 3-bedroom house. So we took him, we plugged that carport in, put it 2 walls. Back to my value of my house was $30,000. I couldn't get porch on the front of that value of my house was $30,000. Every time they passed my house, it got up $30,000. And this last time, it's pretty much done. And I was big for the amphitheater. If it lowered my taxes, but I'm sure it would.
Yeah.
So taxes is my big interest. And I'm all for the ball ground for kids. But I'm not interested in all kinds of county business running everywhere, everything in the world. I'm not for big government. Love, state, or pet.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. Next is Miss Wonderful Bank. And neighborhood development, neighborhood development. Thank you for coming, Juanita. Appreciate you being here.
Actually, my Kristen knows more about this, but anyhow, I'm coming to talk with you, Jeff, and everyone, and ask for your help. Many of you know that our family has lived at the end of Charlie Brown Road at Millie's Mountain for over half a century. And we and our other neighbors have land close to Paradigm Energy that touches the various princes. And so that we can make our own plans, we need to be able to make informed decisions. And so we'd love to arrange a learning conversation with either you, Jeff, or whomever you suggest that really understands what the current situation is. Because we have a number of key questions that we want to explore. Because we're very supportive, as you know, of employment in Yancey County. But we're also trying to understand what's happening to Charlie Brown Road. We have a number of key questions. One is, as of this weekend, there was still activity and trucks going in and out of Paradigm. do they still own that property that the county gifted them? I'm not asking you to answer these questions. I'm asking us to set a learning conversation together. But these are some of the questions. Did Paradigm sell all or a portion of the property? If so, have they recompensed the county for whatever it was? Because I understood that was a gift of some kind. Another is, if it's reverted back to the county, what can you all help us understand about what's happening now on the site because there are people there doing things, or your plans for it? Another is, do you know what's happening with that half-built structure that's there? Another question we have is there now another owner? And if so, what are their plans for that site? It seems that Paradigm, and this is a big concern for several folks, was going to build extensive employee housing, which we of course support for Yancey County. If that's correct, is that correct is a question. And if so, if in Yancey County's housing crisis, were they going to build it all the way up the mountain? Where was that housing going to go? Because that makes a difference to those of us who surround it. It's not that we're against any of this. This is not that kind of question. It's more about watching Charlie Brown Road and not having had the kinds of conversations that would help us know how to best partner with the county. Because there's also, as you mentioned earlier, the sewer system that is going in. Well, we didn't know whether that was Paradigm or who else it was. And if so,
I'm gonna tell you what I'll do. If you will, I'll be happy to answer every single question that you got. First, I'll tell you exactly what it is. Anybody else wants to hang on, I'll tell you about the incentive.
well,
As soon as the meeting's over, as soon as the meeting's over.
okay, that's great,
Come right
because I
up.
said,
I'll talk to you.
our question was, I have my calendar, let's talk.
Oh,
Set up a time.
I'll let you get a question.
That would be great.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Juanita.
That's
Appreciate it.
great, appreciate it.
Absolutely. Next is Miss Kathy Wildstell. Due diligence. Thanks for coming, Kathy. Good to see you.
I do have to recommend my speaking because it sounds like you are doing a little bit of due diligence on the amphitheater before moving forward. That's a lot of what I was going to talk about. Because your history of doing due diligence hasn't been so great. I mean, look what happened with the plan, the lettuce plant, that there was infrastructure that needed to be done and they didn't know about. Paradigm, when that man came to tell us about it, a lot of us went home and looked up the company. There was no internet presence. There was no mailbox. They had a post office box with their mailbox. There was just a lot of questions that we all had. And now our understanding is that they're not even coming. Now that's true. But how are you going to get the land back? Are you going to have to sue to get the land back? Is he just going to turn over the deed? I don't know how.
That's part of the question. I'll answer that question for you. Yeah.
And I hope that you really do due diligence. That you're really an amphitheater in a residential area. Don't think that's a lot more to say, but that's all I'm saying.
Thank you, Kathy.
That's fine.
She had 1.10 seconds. She had 1.10 seconds, Danny. She yields her time. All right. Next, Wendy Mercer. Are you good? Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate you coming. Next is Miss April Carroll, also the amphitheater. Thanks for coming, April.
Thank you for having me. I don't think I've ever said anything in less than 3 minutes before.
As long as it's still everybody. Show that age. Go ahead.
Well, I've lived up Highway 80. Well, my name is April Carroll, and I've lived up Highway 80 all my life and born and raised there. Yes. And I just didn't think that the amphitheater was a good idea. And thank you so much for putting that on back burner, for now. because I just think that it would increase, after Helene, traffic increased significantly, and it's already now a very busy road on a little bitty road, and people's wrecked in my yard several times already. And I just think that it would increase the drunk drivers, it would increase the traffic, and our town is, like our little community is very quiet, and a lot of people have to get up and go to work early. And I just think the noise disturbance, from the concerts, will keep people up all night. I just didn't think it was a good idea in our quiet little community, because we like it is. And I know that growth might come one day, we just don't want it right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Last on our public comments, as usual. Last, of certainly not least, is Mr. Danny McIntosh.
I'm not talking about that.
Thanks for coming, Dan. You've got about 12 minutes because all these people coming forward. I'm kidding, you got 3.
Now, there's a lot of talk here tonight about money and work and everything. I know everybody's working hard to put together good, but I know where ground zero is when the money comes, and that's the branch.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Now, let me thank you for coming and taking up the torch of the Parkway Playhouse. I've got a catalog of Parkway Playhouse stories that I've got several. But I put elections on my thing there.
Yes, you did that.
And congratulations to Sandy and David. Successful election over the thing. One of the things that I saw during the campaign was some advertisements that would allude to tax values that favored city and county commission. Now, to say that's not fair is probably not enough, because elections a lot of times not fair. The gloves seem to come off, and there's a lot of people got a bully pulpit honestly and all that kind of thing. But when I thought about that, I thought, they're talking about me. I have taken part in all of the Board of Equalization and Review here in basically since 2015. One way or the other, they got on the board of clerks. So, and heard Bill there talking about his day, but I found out something in the tax office. There's just enough information available publicly to allow you to draw conclusions that are not correct. That's the first thing. Second thing is, there's a lot of things that goes on in the tax office. There must be 50 million pieces of information down there. It has to be correct and continuous and flow from rephrase to the other, through software, through data pools, through all of these things. Anything can happen. So there's always an explanation in whatever value you see. And that's just that's good, that's too. But as far as working with you as commissioner and board members over the past 10 years, what I would say, one thing I would say is Attorney Laws and I, when it comes to the property tax commission, Rod, we're undefeated on it. But in my time down there, and yes, the assessor is responsible for those values. So the assessor needs to know and understand where they came from, how they come. But as far as working with commissioners and board members, y'all have been great. You are attentive. You engage with people. You find out what their problem is. You make a reasonable and logical decision. And nobody has ever asked me to do anything above and beyond what the statute would provide for. So I think that was a bit a bit unfair, and I just wanted to be on record saying that I don't think that's right. I think that everything is above board, and I would be, proud and happy to defend whatever's down there, whatever.
Did I ever? Like that before they left?
And I don't remember that you demanded that I do anything. But no, nobody, and there's a million different situations down there, and we know what's involved. Everything is above board, everybody's above board, nothing but respect.
I agree.
This is what I would say. And I want to take 30 seconds if I've got somebody talking about elections and not invoke the name of Garrett Dixon, Big Bailey here a few minutes ago. And I'm sure Big Bailey tailed an election. Dick and I sat on the Yancey County Board of Elections about a generation apart. And I remember one day I was arguing with Dick, man, right to vote. I come to find out in review of the minutes because I thought, sure, I'm not the only one. It's some 20, 25 years before, Big Bailey was arguing for that same right. Well, I lost my discussion, but I felt like I was in good company.
Thank y'all. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Dan, appreciate it. All right, next on the agenda, I can't read that one, I'll put my class. Oh, so we have 4 motions to adjourn, do I hear a second? All in favor, say aye. Folks, thank you very much for coming, we really appreciate you being here.